Hello everybody, and welcome to Books That Justin Didn't Read in School. This is it's like a side thing?
Yeah, like a side quest.
Okay everybody, welcome back to Books Justin Didn't Read in School. A side quest of Reading Held Hostage, where we do books I did not fucking read.
In school. So Justin,
Yes,
what are
if you are my English teacher right now, why? How am I? Tell me now.
Did you find it?
Yeah. This podcast.
Yeah. 2.
I read these.
No, you fucking didn't. Oh, I'm not supposed to curse in the first couple minutes.
Sorry, YouTube.
So what's the acronym? So it's RHH. I'm looking at it, so I can't participate.
Okay. RHH BJDRIS.
DRIS.
That's what I said.
No, it's not.
I said RHH BJDRIS.
You didn't say that the first time.
I did.
I guess we could literally go back and
We
listen.
have audio proof.
We'll see who's wrong when we post this.
Actually, we're not going to review this episode. Leave a comment down below. Did I say it right or not?
But this is a late night episode for us. It's 10 o'clock. I'm eating a snack of hot Cheetos.
On a Saturday.
Because
we're sinners. That's why.
Well, I was going to say because the way we're going to post these is we're going to post them on the last day of every month.
Or the first.
I hope the last, actually, is what I was saying.
Maybe.
Like what I was saying just then is what I was kind of thinking.
Okay.
So, you're wrong. The other types of books that I have on my list to read for this is like Gatsby, The Giver, which I think The Giver would be a nice one for next week.
Yeah.
Or next month. Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, pretty much anything that you were like given to read in a class from, let's say, 5th grade to senior year in high school.
Yeah. From person to graduation.
Yeah, because, I mean, hopefully they're not giving you, but, like, I have, like, Where the Red Fern Grows in here, which was, for me, a 6th grade, or 5th grade reading. I very distinctly remember reading that, same with Running Out of Time.
But you were in an advanced class, so...
Not, but I think they started advanced, at 6th grade.
Oh, well,
for us.
You were still a gifted reader.
Yes, yes. Thanks, babe.
That's why we have a fucking reading podcast.
True. But yes, I have always loved to read. I did, when they told us to read in school, I did read it. I even read which I'm not going to read on this podcast, the fucking Bible. I was told to read the Bible for AP Lit, I think.
Fuck.
Well, I can't remember if I took AP Lit
That's so
or
fucking lit.
whatever the other one was for the AP English classes.
Can you... My good joke that I had?
Wow, babe, that was really good.
AP Lit.
Okay. So, can we just talk real quick why you didn't read these in school? Like, it's not that you were lazy. You have ADHD and dyslexia. You have read books before, and you have liked reading books before.
My executive function was off the charts in high school. Like, anything I wasn't interested in, I just didn't do. Yeah. And that caused a lot of problems for me. Mm-hmm. But...
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We know now that reading is not your favorite, but listening is pretty good. Like, we listen to audiobooks every once in a while.
Oh, I listened to... I need to get back into it, but the first book of Percy Jackson guy starts with an R.
Rick Riordan?
His Norse mythology
one, yeah.
Norse mythology.
Mangus Chase, one of those.
Yeah.
I think
it was Magnus.
Okay, I don't say it right because it's one of those words I read.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not that you were like, oh, fuck it, I'm never going to read. It was kind of like, I literally am not able to read this book.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to talk about anime now. Like,
okay, you've got a quick minute. Everybody's
like, oh, you got to watch this anime. It's really good, but it's like just dubbed. I can't read fast enough to keep up with animes.
Yeah, and they definitely go fast. And so I kind of wanted to start this series because it's free. Eventually we might put ads on it, but it's free for kids who can't read the way that normal, non-neurodivergent, I don't want to use the word normal, but you know what I'm saying.
Neurotypical.
Yeah, the way the school system is designed for.
Which is nobody.
Except for me.
Yeah.
I kicked ass in the school system.
Your special interest has to be school.
Yeah, literally. So, anyway, that's enough of that. Today we're reading Running Out of Time, which, like I said, I remember very distinctly reading it in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Did you? I'm assuming you didn't read it.
No.
Okay.
But I remember being a kid and being like, that fucking sounds lit.
I wish
Never
I
gonna
could read it.
that, yeah.
So tell me what you remember about it.
So...
Wait, sorry.
Spoilers?
Well, yeah, but wait. I do distinctly remember this book being, and when I reread it, at a good level for a 10 to 11, or between 9 and 11-year-old that would be reading this in 5th grade.
So what Hunger Games and Twilight should be.
Yeah, actually. So go ahead and tell me what you remember. Spoilers included.
Yeah. They're living in this town, and it's like, what? They have, like, blacksmiths and shit, like, colonial time, like, just settling colonial time. Mm-hmm. And, she's the daughter of a blacksmith, I remember that.
Yeah, that's a specific detail, correct.
And then they're, like, dying of, what is it? Some sort of plague. Mm-hmm. Whatever. And then her mom's like, go do blah, 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 and blah to get out of here and get us medicine. Mm-hmm. And it turns out they're in, like, the 80s. Yeah. Which was modern day when it came out, right? Or
no, but yes. It is only, like, 10 years.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah.
Is that all you've got?
Yeah, and then shenanigans.
Shenanigans does, in fact, ensue. So that was really good. I want to start with the author is Margaret Peterson Haddix. She's an Aries. She's known for 2 different series. Homie has written a lot of books. I haven't read these other 2 series, but I'm sure I would have liked them as a kid. And let's be honest, I probably like them now when I need to escape reality. Grew up in Ohio. Boo. That sucks. I literally wrote my note. That sucks. She always
wanted... dumbasses grow up in Ohio, for sure.
Only morons. She always wanted to be a writer, and this was her first book. Which is crazy that it's, like, if your first book is being read in schools...
Yeah.
In your lifetime, like, that's a pretty good book. Even if it's 5th grade reading level, like, that's still awesome.
Yeah.
She has written more than 40 books aged for children and teens, and I'm assuming actually aged for children and teens.
I don't understand.
She is still an avid writer.
They're going to have sex, right?
No. She's still an avid writer. Shut up. She's still an avid writer now.
They're going to at least do a genocide, right?
Her last book, her last book was published in 2018, and she doesn't have, from what I could see, any controversies or scandals, and she just seems to be a lady who likes to read and write, which is great.
Chill lady. Reading and writing. So
instead of going chapter by chapter, I'm going to do kind of like 5 chapters chunked into one. So are you ready to get going?
Yeah, this is not going to be a series of...
No.
Of a book. This is going to be...
This is
an episode of book, yeah.
Well, I say quick, but... How many pages did I? I wrote 9 pages of notes.
Oh, damn, okay.
That's usually an hour 15 for us.
Okay.
So in the first chapter, obviously, we meet our main character, who is 13-year-old Jessie Kaiser. So I just want to... 13 years old. Picture a friend, a sibling, somebody you know in your neighborhood who's 13. Maybe picture them 10 years ago, a 13-year-old, not now today's 13-year-olds with all their electronics and stuff. But they're young.
Not getting off their damn phones.
But 13 is really young.
Yeah.
Really young. So she's the daughter of the town midwife and blacksmith. And one day she wakes up to, or one night she wakes up to her mom kind of like getting ready to go. She's got a note about some sick kids in the village. The year is 1840. So they get, and again, this is all from Jessie. So she's like thinking about how like it's awesome that her mom is a midwife. It's so weird that like we used to get these medicines from Dr. Pfister that were really good.
Whoa.
Shut up. But people in my town trust my mom, like, even though, like, our doctor used to give out pills that instantly helped.
Yeah.
So I'm an adult reading this. Those were antibiotics because I know what was going on. Jessie is really excited about this adventure, but scared. Her mom is kind of scaring her. Like, she's like, something is extremely wrong with these children.
Yo, these children, low-key bound to die,
kind of fucked here, yo. And Jessie reflects on the many weird things in her village, such as strange trees with black boxes on them, haunted trees that always seem to be whispering. And she knows that she is strong and brave. She's braver than the rest of the kids in the village.
Braver than the troops.
And she's only 13, and she doesn't understand why Dr. Pfister won't give these kids the pills. She's like, I know I'm supposed to ignore the pills and that I could get spanked for noticing it, but, like, just give them the pills.
Yeah.
But she wonders if adults everywhere keep this many secrets.
No.
Her mom takes her into the woods to pick herbs, but before they leave, this family of the house they're leaving puts a sign that says quarantine. She's like, what's quarantine? And her mom's like, it is something that is dangerous. There's a dangerous disease inside.
Oh boy, what is quarantine?
I know, a little too close to home, eh? They stop behind a huge rock in the woods, one she used to play on as kids, and her mom is, like, whispering her. It's, like, making her really scared and uncomfortable. And she's like, I need you to do something incredibly dangerous. Like, I think we'll be able to avoid it, but, like, if we can't, like, you're gonna have to do something about, like, I need you to trust me. And Jessie's like, yo, what the?
Yeah.
Again, 13.
Yeah, honestly, I remember my 13th birthday. At least I think I do. I think we went to a TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
And if at that TGI Fridays, my mom goes, I need you to go on a quest.
Literally.
I'd shit my pants,
Yep.
and it'd be the same color as the little gummy worm mud dessert.
Shut up. The next day, Jessie wakes. She does her chores and wonders about the night before. Like, she's really scared, and she tries to, like, play and talk to her family like normal, but it's not happening.
Hey, guys.
Hey. She's got, like, I can't remember how many siblings she has, but I think it's, like, 6 kids.
Ugh. If you're from a big family, cringe.
It's a literally skill issue, honestly.
Yeah. Be born to a smaller family, idiot.
They go to their school, and at their school, she has to recite all of the presidents from memory and the year and then the states and stuff like that, which is, like, so, like, back then teaching methods. Like, just fucking learn it and recite it. Like, come on.
Yeah, just memorize things.
She talks to the other kids and, like, notices that, because it's every kid from our village is in this fucking school. So she, like, they're, like, rowed differently. So, like, she can see each kid from each row that's missing. And she's like, a lot of people are getting sick.
Yeah.
And at the end of the school day, one of her little sisters, whose name is Katie, she's got to be, like, 5 or 6. She's really young. And she's like, I'm not feeling well. And she's burning up, and she carries Katie home on her back.
Mama threw
up. As she's, like, super scared. She's like, Katie, it's gonna be okay. And then she's like, oh shit, I can't say okay. It's a forbidden word. So she's like, crap, like, it's another forbidden word, like, shut up, and I could get spanked for it. So she's, like, worried, but she doesn't get caught saying that.
Yeah. Do you know what's, like, weird about the classroom scene? It's basically just being in a classroom with assigned seats, but every child in the village.
You literally.
Like, it's every child.
Yeah. Yep. Everyone. Like, I mean, there's probably, 45 plus of them in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. She goes into the woods to collect herbs, and she's worried about seeing, again, this book, 1840, written in the 90s, a dangerous Indian in the woods.
Uh-oh.
We know that's not okay now, but she's born in 1840. Okay. She meets her mom, and her mom gives her the lowdown. She's like, hey, Jessie, not to freak you out, super gonna freak you out. All these kids have diphtheria. It's really bad. And she's like, the gist is, I don't really know how to tell you this. It's actually 1996. And Jessie's like, how can it be 1996? It is literally 1840. That is a 156-year difference.
Mom, it's wittily 1840.
Widowy? I'm doing a gwitty in 1840.
God.
Okay, so diphtheria is gross, so I'm just going to do a quick on it. It's a serious infection caused by bacteria.
It's the shitting disease and then you die, right?
It's a shitting disease, yes.
Okay, most of
them back then were shitting diseases.
Were the shitting disease and then you die.
But it actually does not seem to be a shitting disease. It seems to be, I mean, I'm sure it's got shitting issues, but it seems to be like a upper respiratory infection, like bad breathing, rashes, difficulty swallowing, coughing, swollen lymph nodes, stuff like that.
Okay, so more Black Plague than...
Yeah. But it is easily preventable via vaccine. And in the U.S.
That's crazy.
Currently, there are fewer than 20,000 cases a year.
Crazy.
I know, crazy.
It's like vaccines fucking work or something.
I don't understand. Her mom is like, I've always wanted to tell you and your brother and your sister, but it was not safe to. Miles Clifton, the guy who built this village, is like, yeah, no, Jessie, I know you were taught about Miles Clifton, but he did it differently than what you were taught. So she's taught that Miles Clifton came in and was the first settler of
and
Clifton
just built a town. Yeah.
But in reality, he's a millionaire with a limousine, and he wanted to create a real, actual historic village and tourist location.
Bro's trying to do Westworld, but couldn't figure out how to build robots.
Yeah.
He's like, robots are too hard. How about I just enslave people?
It's perfect. Great idea. Jessie has a hard time wrapping her brain around this. What?
Yeah.
But mostly because it's so hard to travel. She's like, what's a tourist location? We literally can't get anywhere without walking or horse cart. So it would be a pain to travel.
So this millionaire's just trying to Truman Show
literally,
a village
it's very
of kids.
Yeah, it's literally Truman Show. Which I can't imagine how scary this would be. Hey, it's literally 156 years in the future.
Yeah. Hey, at least Truman was in the correct time.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah.
What was going on in the show, like, reflected outside.
Yeah. So, the tourists can see through mirrors. There are mirrors in every single room.
Cool. Because they definitely had mirrors.
Well, they had mirrors. They just were shitty mirrors.
And, like, small.
Yeah. There's also, like, things in the trees, and some of the trees even have cameras. So the people...
They're in the trees.
They're in the trees. The people there had agreed to majority of it, but not all of this. Originally, 25 families... What?
Trigger warning. Vietnam War.
Originally, 25 families had agreed to live like their grandparents, where most folks volunteered to come down because they thought the U.S. had become very sinful.
So it's just Trumpers.
Well, yeah, and some were like, we could practice our religion better. Others just wanted to run away. Some wanted to practice environmentalism and save the earth. Basically, 25 families were like, yes, we're in on it. Jessie's parents are there because her pa was so in love with 1800. He was a blacksmith before he came to this town.
Yeah.
And her mom was just like so in love with him that she followed him.
Okay.
I don't love you that much.
No.
I mean, they didn't have cell phones. I mean, they did, but not like the way we do. But like, I mean, this woman popped out like 6 fucking kids. Nothing. And she had access to it.
Oh my god.
Like, good for her. Like, what if there was an issue? She literally could have died.
Also, do you think they, like, shut down those areas for stuff like that?
I don't.
Gross.
Also, I'm eating a hot Cheeto. Okay. Originally, Miles Clifton promised they would get modern medicine, food shipped in if there was an issue, and people could leave when they wanted to.
Also, what if these kids grow up and just start banging?
I'm sure they will. The oldest are like 13 to 16 right now. But you know how banging was like a sin back then?
Yeah, but like...
But they like really, like Jessie like really believes in this kind of stuff. So she's like...
No, but I'm saying like people still banged.
No, of course. I'd like to stop talking about kids banging if you don't mind.
I'm not talking about... I said when they grow up.
Okay, I'm going to the next part. They also agreed that the kids would get told the truth about the village at age 12, But then things went seriously wrong, and Miles Clifton took things way too seriously.
Oh my god, what? A millionaire taking things like, too far?
He wanted things to be very authentic. So eventually they could not leave, they could not tell people, and the medication stopped. More cameras popped up to watch them, and things were just like icky. And eventually her pa, Jessie's pa, had gotten beaten by Miles Clifton's people in the town because Jessie was always asking about words she heard or the cameras and things like that. And he wasn't disciplining her enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then it was acceptable to
beat your children.
To beat the shit out of your kids. Not acceptable.
Hey, not acceptable back then either.
No, really. I mean, no. So Jessie's like fucking terrified now.
Yeah.
100% on her same side. That is so scary.
Oh, cool. The people that you want me to go get stuff from are the people who beat the shit out of my dad.
Literally, apparently he was beat so badly, like his excuse that worked was a horse had kicked him.
God damn. Got trampled. Sorry.
Yeah. All she wants to do is ask questions, but her mom's like, you can't, like, you have to listen. She gives her some clothes. She's like, I would go too, but these blue jeans that she gives her don't fit me anymore because I've had 6 kids in here.
Most realistic part of the book.
Literally, these jeans do not. The second most realistic part is Jessie, who's again from 1840, goes, women wear pants? What the fuck?
Hey, it's been 20 years since I put these pants on. No fucking way they're getting back on.
These are absolutely not fitting me. And her mom's like, I can't even let you know what it's going to look like outside. I haven't been out there since the 70s.
Yeah.
And Jessie's mom is also scared because men on the inside are actively fighting against them, and she's incredibly worried about her daughter. Like, she's like, literally like, I am worried that somebody from Clifton Village is going to follow you and harm you.
Because they're like the Trumpsters.
Yeah, they like have to be living this way. I mean, there's a secret subplot that we don't know about until like the last 5 chapters.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
that it's a cult. That's fully a cult.
It is, but it's different. But yeah, basically they're like, she's like, I'm genuinely worried about your safety.
Yeah.
So fucking scary.
Yeah.
She's like, there's a little hole below this rock, and you're gonna have to go down. And Jessie's like a little proud that her mom's choosing her to do this, not like her older sister or older brother.
Yeah, like a child would be.
Yeah, just she's like, of course, like, yeah, Ma, I can do this, and like kind of ignoring the fear for a little bit. And her job is to find a man named Isaac Neely, who is opposed to the formation of the village. She would have to find a phone, doesn't know what a phone is, call this man, and for some reason she doesn't have to walk to Indianapolis. She doesn't quite get that. Indianapolis would be like 50 miles away from this area. Yeah. And her mom tells her
how's she going to get there?
She has no idea. She's going to have to walk.
But you said she wasn't going to walk.
I know. She has no idea.
I'm confused.
Her mom then tells her the worst news. So it's kind of like fun scary. And then this turns it into serious scary, because if she doesn't do this and this doesn't work, these kids will die.
They'll turn in the mood.
Yeah. So Mr. Neely needs to make this news conference and tell the world what is happening. So she hops into this tunnel, and the mom closes the rock behind her, and then Jessie opens a door. Scary. So scary. You ready? That was the first 5 chapters.
Yeah.
So
you could also just like wait until you hear people whispering in the tree and be like, hey, they're not giving us any fucking medicine.
Well, except for the people will beat the shit out of them. Yeah. I mean, her mom's got like 6 kids to worry about.
That's true. And
the last time they beat her dad so bad, and they're not giving them any like modern medicine, so like they're super susceptible to infection.
Yeah.
Like the parents at least probably have vaccines, but it's heavily hinted that these kids were supposed to get vaccines and never got them.
Oof.
So that sucks. But Jessie opens the door, and she's worried about these people called guards. And she's very surprised by the flooring being alternating black and white squares, because she's never ever seen a floor that wasn't dirt or wood. So I just think it's so interesting of all these little things that she's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, all the lights are...
Chessboard on the ground.
Yeah, all the lights are not candles. She's like, I literally have never seen shit like that.
Oh, she'd be fucking blinded.
Yeah. And she's like, wanting to ask... She considers going back up to ask her mom just her first preliminary questions. And she's like, no. Okay, I'll have to save them for later. She then hears men, guards, talking, and she hides.
Oh, dudes.
Guys. So, she... hides, and she goes to like permanently hide in a place that her mom calls the bathrooms, which she explained as an indoor outhouse. She doesn't have toilets or anything like that.
Why would you put the poo in the inside?
And her mom explained that when the tourists came in, she could just walk out. And she hears the men talking about how they're going to close the tourist attraction. Either way, she makes it to the bathroom and sits on an odd white chair. And she's excited that she made it safely and that no one saw her. Is
this place have a name, or is it just the name of the village?
It's just called Clifton Village.
Okay.
The next morning, she wakes to an awful sound of rushing water, immediately confusing her, but then she remembers where she is, and she is still confused by both the sound and the light. She hears some girls talking, another whoosh, and she realizes that time it came from her toilet. She becomes very inquisitive. Where could this all be going? But she decides, oh gosh, I actually got to go to the bathroom. Where am I going? And she goes, oh.
In the fucking thing.
Yeah, in the toilet. And she does. And she's like, I fucking figured it out. I figured 1996 out.
I did potty.
But she's like really happy. And she looks in the mirror, worried that it's one of the ones that people could look back in on her, which would, immediate trauma for the rest of your life.
You would never be able to see a mirror again.
But again, this is the first time, like, the mirrors were shitty back in the days, but so this is the first time she's been able to see her face really clearly.
Yeah.
And some girl washes her hand, and she's, like, staring at this girl. And this girl's like, what? Never seen someone wash their hands before?
No.
Literally? No.
Hey, nah.
And Jessie's worried someone's gonna come, like, collect her and put her back in Clifton, but the girl just, like, leaves, because, like, nobody gives a shit. Yeah. But Jessie's also happy to see that a lot of these girls are dressed similarly to her.
Yeah. It is crazy that, like, to think about how they know everybody. They know everybody that they know, they see.
Everybody they've ever seen is somebody they know. Like, there's thousands of strangers I've never met before. Yeah. There's people in my neighborhood, I literally haven't talked to before.
Yeah.
Like... She leaves the bathroom and finds out she's in the same room she was in last night, but it's light, and it's much larger than she thought, and it's packed with people. She just stares at everyone, but no one's paying any attention to her. And there's this lady who's like, come on, we've got to get ready for the tour, and she's ended up corralled into this group with other girls, and she realizes she's going to be a tourist. As she experiences her town and the future at the same time, it's, like, super strange. Because she sees photographs, and they're all pictures of her town, people she knew, including her. Yeah. But no one, like, notices she's the same group. And, okay, again, just, like, of the times, she's from 1840, 1996. 1840 was before the Emancipation Proclamation.
Fuck yeah, dude.
In the group, she sees black people. Not the term she used, but the term I'm going to use because it's 2023 and this book was...
Did she?
Not the N-word.
Okay.
The other N-word, but no ER or A or anything like that.
The more Spanish N-word.
Yeah. She also sees mixed children. Oh, I hate this next line. And she's a little disappointed because they're not pure black. But they are the first black people she's ever seen. So she thinks they must have been freed. And a black girl asks a question, and Jessie says that Mr. Whittingham was wrong. Black folk can think just as well as white folk. Which
progressive take.
Super. Which so even in the 1840s, like, obviously there were people who were abolitionists, all that kinds of stuff. And this 13-year-old girl is immediately like, oh, clearly black people are basically the same as we are.
Oh, that's a person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, oh, they must have been freed. Like, cool. Like, no residual hate or anything.
Yeah. Just like, oh, that's a person. Crazy.
Also, I just want to say, these people were put into this village in the 70s.
Yeah.
All the adults had time outside of the village. what racist motherfucker went in there and decided,
you know about slaves?
I think I'm going to take the persona of somebody who loves slavery.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, there's people in there who are like, oh, I don't know, like, let me take the persona of... Like, they probably worked with people of color.
It's the crazy Trumpers.
Literally. So, basically, the tour guide is like... The tour guide says, not everyone in the town thinks it's 1840. When they're when they're old enough, they learn the truth. And Jessie's like... Okay, that's not true.
No, we fucking know.
But she, like, speaks up in a way that, like, she's a quick thinker. She's like, that doesn't seem authentic. Like, to see if the lady actually believes that. Because she's like, maybe the lady doesn't know, or maybe she does and she's trying to hide it.
Yeah. Already being like, oh, this service worker doesn't control what's going on.
Yeah, and basically the tour guide's like, we do our best, but is kind of rude to Jessie. Because, like, shut the fuck up, you little kid. I'm tired of giving tours.
Yeah.
And Jessie talks to another girl.
Ow!
You getting bit?
I'm getting bit.
Bruno's in a mood tonight. When I was sewing downstairs, he was taking my clips off and running away with them. I was like,
those are his.
Fuck you up. She talks to a girl named Nicole, and Jessie just keeps watching her town from the outside because they even have like videos of them and stuff like that.
Moving pictures?
Yeah. They eventually come to the blacksmith, which is her dad. And someone laughs, and they're like, couldn't they find a better way to do that? And Jessie gets mad. She's like, shut up, he's the best. And
I fucking love this guy.
And she's like, oh, shit. But the tour guide saves her, and is like, yeah, he is the best. Like, they didn't have all this shit. Like, this is what they have. So the kids around her start making fun of everything, and Jessie's becoming more and more upset because that is what she knows.
This guy fucking rocks.
And the tour...
I love this guy.
Are you done? One more? No? Are you waiting for me to start? Please don't interrupt me again. You have to edit all this out. Okay, so...
Hit that fucking metal.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. So the tour guide then starts talking about all the events they have, which is strange, and one kid is like, isn't this an invasion of privacy? But apparently...
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Apparently when the folks moved, they agreed, and they're free to leave when they want, which is, like, not true, but Jessie believes that this lady believes that. They watch the school, and Jessie is literally brought to tears seeing that her sister Katie is not in school, which means she's sick at home. And she's also distraught to see that there are many more empty chairs than there were even the day before.
Damn.
So Jessie's like, she's like, okay, like, raises her hand. She's like, why are the seats empty? And the tour guide is like, oh, you know, like they have a cold going around. And Jessie's like, makes the decision. She literally doesn't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And finally the tour's over and Jessie heads towards the front door.
That's a guide turns around, notices something for the first time, turns back around and makes something up.
I used to do that when I was a tour guide, but I was pretty good at it. She goes outside, and the outside has a strange floor, and she's like, who the fuck put floors outdoor? She then also notices these weird carriages, very crazy ones, and she hears a woman call them cars. And she becomes excited when she sees grass, very glad that the outdoor floor didn't go everywhere.
Yeah, touch grass.
Yeah, she's like, thank God. She then starts to walk towards the exit sign and is very scared of someone finding her. So I didn't think there was a clear picture because, again, Jessie's the narrator, so it's not, like, great. But what I'm picturing is, like, prison yard type of thing. So they have, like, what's it called? The building. Then they have, like, a walkway, a parking lot, a fence. And then they have, like, an exit guide there and then a secondary fence way further out. Because one of the guises they use is that it's a national park. Mm. So...
What the fuck are you trying to keep out of a national park that bad?
Well, what they're saying is they're trying to keep the animals in for authenticity purposes.
Oh, shit. So there's not, like... It's not Truman Show in a dome type shit.
No.
It's outside, just over there.
Yeah.
So what about planes? Question. What about planes?
What about planes?
What happened when plane go by?
She then starts to walk towards the exit sign, scared someone is trying to, like, going to come and find her. Like, she's terrified.
Aren't they by a major city?
they're 50 miles away from Indianapolis.
There be planes. Sorry.
She climbs the fence.
Whittly, where the planes?
Whittly? She climbs the fence and goes into the woods and sees a big road, which must be the highway her mom told her about that goes all the way to Indianapolis, and she just needs to follow it. She gets excited to hear a robin because they're not extinct in the near future, which is, like, great. And she's like, not only that, I can step so good in these pants. And she's, like, walking really comfortably. And she walks along the, like, tiny road into the tree line and can see a guardhouse and cameras. And she gets really freaked because the cameras are turning right towards her. And she panics, taking a while to calm down, worried that, again, someone's going to find her. She calms down enough to think rationally and moves towards the guardhouse, with cars coming in and out. And she watches for a while, and a weird vehicle comes in, and she thinks it's a bread truck because of the pictures on it. And these men start to talk, and Jessie decides she's got to get into the vehicle. And she does after a while.
Gotta get that bread.
Gotta get that bread. She roused and grounded, honestly. And she's, like, hearing the man sing, and then she's hearing a lot of other people sing, and she's like, how the fuck are other people singing in this fucking car?
Where are all these dudes at? Where are all these dudes coming from?
She's then able to leave Clifton in the truck, but the next question is, how the fuck do I leave the fucking truck? Again, she just kind of opens the door, causing the bread to fall out, and she jumps out of this truck.
Damn. Moving, or?
Well, like, it's slowing down. Like, he's slowing down, but, I mean, I don't think she was stopped because she was scared he's gonna get her. And after he leaves, she starts walking along the highway, a 13-year-old along the highway.
Oof.
Is it just stressing you now?
Yeah, this is stressing me out.
I know. And again, she's paranoid someone is looking for her, finding her, and she's trying to find a fucking phone, not knowing what it looks like.
Yeah.
But
or what it is.
Anything she doesn't know how to use. She doesn't know shit. And eventually she's, like, walking around and she finds a creek that she recognizes from Clifton. And this is 13. This is something I would do 100% when I was 13. Is the water's moving towards Clifton. So she puts a twig in it and says, like to the twig, like, tell my family I'm safe.
Oh.
I know, right? She's like, make sure Katie's okay. I'm like, okay, stop. And I'm just like, it's such a fucking sweet little kid thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Bruno. I can't read my notes. Oh, okay. Get out of my space. Oh, you deleted my notes, you bastard. She goes through her pack and gets something to eat, finding, like, weird bills, which she assumes are the money her mom was talking about. And just as she's about to drink from the creek, she hears someone yelling at her to stop. And it's a man. He's like, don't drink that due to pollution. She's like, I have no fucking clue what that is. But he's basically like, that's bad. Like, I'm an environmentalist. I'm just out for a walk. And she's like, fuck no. You're one of Mr. Clifton's men following me. I'm going to leave. I'm going to the gas station down the street that you just mentioned. That's exactly where I was going to go.
Yep, that's where I'm going, and I have friends there.
Yep.
And they're waiting for me.
Smart on her feet, obviously.
Yep.
She's immediately overwhelmed by the gas station, by all the options, and by the idea of spending money without a care. Like, I mean, money is completely different back then. They did a lot of bartering in the 1840s.
Yeah.
But she ends up getting a drink and freaking out. Like, she opens the door. She's like, how the fuck is it cold in there? So she pays with this money, and it's like 87 cents for, like, a soda. She's like, my dad would kill me if I spent 87 cents back at home. That is like 20 horseshoes. And I'm just, it's so funny because even now, like, yeah. I don't know. It's just funny. Outside the gas station, she finds a phone, finally. And after an intense amount of trial and error, she figures out how to make a call. Because basically back, payphones, you, like, put the thing in and it's like, press the X or whatever and then type in your number. And she's like, hello? To the, like, lady right off the bat. She's like, hello, I need to talk to Mr. Neely. And then the coin comes back out and she's like, fuck. So she does it again. And it takes her, like, 3 or 4 times. But Mr. Neely doesn't answer. And she decides to try again. Because she's, like, super worried the kids in her town are, again, going to die.
Yeah.
She then has
Because they are.
Because they are. She then has a very strange and uncomfortable interaction with a man and runs away.
A man?
This next part stresses me out so much.
No.
She runs away, and she kind of stares, like, she finds herself at a traffic light staring at it. She doesn't know what that is, but it's like, she's just, like, fucking mesmerized. And then some boys in a car pull up beside her and beckon her to get into the car. She's like, I don't need a ride. Indianapolis is obvious. Like, she can see a town. She's like, obviously that's Indianapolis. It's right off the road. And they're like, are you fucking dumb? That's a boondock town called Waverly. And then they're like, get in the car. And one of them gets out.
Oh, no.
And they're becoming, like, a little demanding. And obviously, like, she doesn't have any stranger danger.
Yeah.
The only stranger danger she has is everybody could be working for Clifton to get me back. So this innate, like, ick that these kids give her, it makes me want to fucking punch him, because that's a lot of ick. So they both end up getting out of the car, kind of, like, not cornering her because she's, like, out and about.
Coming at her.
Yeah. One of them actually ends up grabbing her wrist.
No.
And they're like, come on, like, you made us drive backwards to, like, pick up a hitchhiker. And she's, like, freaking out. And she's like, I want my paw. My paw's just right up the street. And they're like, paw? But she just, like, fucking, like, runs away screaming, like, I want my paw. And I'm just like, I just want to, like, give her a fucking hug. Like, she's just a baby.
She's a little guy.
And then she ends up in a chicken restaurant. And she finds another
Hell
phone.
Yeah.
It's KFC. And she calls Mr. Neely, and this time he answers, and she just fucking word vomits. And he's like, what?
Hello?
She's like, she's like, my name's Jessie. I'm from Clifton. I need you to do a news conference. She's like, okay, I don't know what that means. How about I just come pick you up from the restaurant? He's like, don't worry. Like, you don't need to worry anymore. We're sending a medic to Clifton now. And he's a handsome man. And he's old in a white car. Apparently it's a fancy car. She, again, doesn't really know anything. And as they're in the car, he's kind of, like, distant, not really answering her questions, but asking a lot of questions to her about her town, about the kids in town, about the diphtheria and all that.
Trying to fucking diagnose them.
Yeah. And he takes her to his house, and she's amazed by the size of this house. And when he offers some water, she's like, oh, I'm not sure I want to drink that, because the last time I tried to drink water, it was dangerous. And maybe he just doesn't know that the water's dangerous. She tries to sleep but can't, so she decides to leave the room. And at this point, she can hear Mr. Neely on the phone, so she gets a little closer. Plot twist. He says, I've got her. I've drugged her. She knows too much. We may have to kill her. Did that get you?
Yeah.
She freaks the fuck out.
What?
I know. Heads back to her room, and another man shows up, and they're talking about how their research is more important. I know. This book gets kind of crazy at the end here.
Okay.
I didn't pick up on any of this when I was a kid. They start to come towards her room, and she freaks the fuck out.
Obviously.
She actually ends up hitting her head and blacking out. And as she's, like, in the state right before unconscious, she can hear Mr. Neely be like, oh, look, she must have fallen out of the bed because he gave her so many drugs. Classic comedy.
When the child you drug falls out the bed because you gave him too much drug.
Exactly. She tries to get, like, when she wakes up, she tries to get her shit together, how to escape, but she is, like, in pain. Like,
yeah.
she's on the second story, but
I remember the twist.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to say it, or?
It's that they are giving them the disease.
Okay. That's your prediction?
Yeah.
Okay. She ends up escaping out the second story window, because she's, like, pretending she's bragging to her brothers. Like, she's climbing a tree or trying to get down. She's like, Andrew, I'm sure I can do it. Like, she's literally, like, saying these things, because, again, she's, like...
Coping?
Yeah.
Coping with the situation of nearly getting murdered.
Mm-hmm. And as she jumps down, she's like, oh, God, my legs are killing me. Like, I'm stiff. But she's like, I am outsmarting Clifton's men. Like, she's like, holy fuck. Like, I am kicking ass in this century.
Yeah.
And she ends up walking and ends up at a bus station where a kind old lady helps her out. And this old lady is just talking, and she's like, oh my, she just wants to be like, shut the fuck. She's literally like, she just won't fucking stop talking to me. She's like, my head hurts, I am tired, and this lady, and so she's like, can you tell me about what a news conference is? And so she's, like, asking specific questions to this lady who won't shut the fuck up. And they actually end up passing the Capitol building, and there's a news conference going on.
Yeah. That's one.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, oh, okay. So she goes into the Capitol and uses the phone to, like, call around on the phone book, like, just news businesses, I guess. She doesn't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing. Mm. Immediately getting hung up on, which makes her lose her mojo. Her head is, like, spinning. All she wants is her mom, but she knows she has to, like, she has to save Clifton. So she, like, kind of gets back in the groove, and starts making more calls.
Give me the government boy. So she gets the government boy, right?
Yeah, all the government boys.
Come here, government boy.
Come here, government man.
And woman.
So we're hitting our last 5 chapters, chapter 21 to 25. She tries to relax after calling a bunch of folk. She's just hoping, like, anyone will come. But she's too scared that Mr. Neely's after her to, like, really relax. And eventually some news people start showing up, talking about what could be going on. And as Jessie starts talking, they're like, oh, it's a hoax. Mm-hmm. But she keeps going, and they don't believe her, especially after she mentions somebody named Mr. Neely, who they believe is a Mr. Neely who died in a car crash a few years ago. Do you hear anything?
Nope. Probably not picking up either.
Oh, probably not at all. So, Mr. Neely died in a car crash a couple years ago.
The real one, or?
Mm-hmm. Mm. So now we don't even know who that guy was.
Cool.
But they, like, again, they don't believe her. They're like, okay, this is just a hoax because Clifton dropped some news that they're, like, closing the same day. So they're like, this is just a fucking hoax. And they start to give up. She's like, oh, I know what I can do to prove it. And she starts reciting all the presidents. And, you know, like, the thing they do at the cliff, like, reciting all the presidents. School, yeah. And just as they, like, start to believe her, because they're kind of like, hey, that's a lot of, like, accusations. Like, do you have any confirmation? She's like, here's
George Washington.
Literally. And then just as they believe her, she collapses.
Does she have the disease?
Yeah, the whole time she had diphtheria. So she's in and out of consciousness for a while. And one day when she finally feels clear-headed, she sees her younger sister, Katie, who was the sick one. Who's scared and starts crying about where her ma and pa are. Bruno, we're literally trying to record. We're wittily trying to record.
Wittily? We're trying to record.
He wants his mom's toy. Apparently, almost every kid in school is in the hospital right now, except for none of the adults are there. She gets to see 2 more of her siblings. Andrew, who's in a chair with wheels on it. And Jessie wonders if she looks just as pale and sickly as her siblings.
That's a fancy chair.
This is when she learns that 2 kids from her school did pass away.
Oh.
And she feels incredibly responsible for this. And not only that, but one of them was her brother Andrew's best friend. Mm-hmm. I don't know. She's only 13. Like,
why'd you put that on her?
I know. She then learns that at the end of this, Mr. Seward, who was one of Clifton's men in town, went crazy. He went full school shooter vibes.
Yeah.
Came into the schoolhouse with a gun and told them, like, it's going to be okay. Like, we just got to keep the health officials out. And he's going crazy. And no one told them why they didn't want the medics to help. They're like, obviously, this is a good thing.
Full cult standoff.
Yeah. So then Mr. Smythe and Mr. Seward were in the school. And they were like, the little sister, Hannah and Andrew, her siblings are telling her this. They're like, we couldn't even leave to go to the bathroom. Isn't that crazy? And then, like, Andrew's like, Hannah, tell her. And Hannah's like a little bit more girly girl, timid. And Hannah's like, I tripped Mr. Seward. And Jessie's like, no way. And then she's like, yeah. And then as he fell, like, his son got the gun. And Mr. Seward was like, perfect. Like, give me the gun. And the boy was like, no, you're going to hurt Hannah. And he let all the kids out. Me. And then Jessie's like, this is literally so kid. They're like, so he did like you. And Hannah's like, well, when I was tripping him, I was just imagining what you would have done. And I'm like, shut up. So cute.
Yeah.
But they haven't seen a grown-up since then. Another sweet kid moment happens.
They're in an actual hospital.
They're
right?
in a real,
Yeah.
current 1996 hospital. She, again, couldn't sleep because she's really freaked out that 2 of the kids had died, feeling really responsible for that. And she leaves the room and she sees news about Clifton. And this is where we learn that Clifton was an experiment for diphtheria to create a genetically enhanced species. Cool. And I wrote here, of course they were all white. Because that's what eugenicists think is the correct way to do it.
Yep.
We don't really learn that much more because, again, the prime narrator is 13.
So, just one disease, though? They were like, oh, if we get them past diphtheria.
Well, I think they were going to start with diphtheria.
Okay.
Again, this was, the first time this was going to happen in their village.
But they didn't have the population to do that, and that would have taken, hundreds of years.
Yeah. Eugenicists are dumb.
Yep.
So she gets in trouble for watching TV, and over the next few weeks, they can't see their parents, and no one will tell them why. So she takes it upon herself, being the only one who knows anything about the present world, to sneak out of bed and call a reporter. And the reporter's like, no fucking way. You're Jessie? Everyone in the news world would, sell their firstborn child to talk with you. Yeah. She's like, I just need to know where my parents are. And he's like, okay, well, how about you answer some of my questions and I answer some of yours and we do an interview together.
I have one question.
Yeah. During this, she learns that her parents were not arrested in the group of people who were arrested, but she can't see them because they're being evaluated by the state to ensure they're good parents.
Oh.
And apparently the tourism was just a cover. The whole thing was the diphtheria experiment to create a better gene pool.
Wow.
And there's a trial going on.
That's cool.
Apparently the man who was pretending to be Mr. Neely was actually named Frank Lyle. And
because he lied to her?
Well, she was kind of worried. She was like, how did he get the phone number? She was worried he'd killed people to get the phone number. But apparently, by stroke of luck, the people were on vacation when he broke into their house, of the person who took Mr. Neely, or got Mr. Neely's phone number after he passed. So they're he kind of says, the reporter's I don't know what he would have done. Yeah. But the people were not in the house. Because they knew she left. Yeah. They were recording her the whole time.
And they knew that she was going to call this number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a few days later, after her story breaks, she's allowed to see her mom on supervised visits. And 4 months later, she and her family are back in Clifton. It's just them, no one else. And they're allowed there because her pa had a mental breakdown. And he's having a really hard time adjusting to the outside world. So he's now currently, until the judges decide what to do with it, in charge of the land. Mm-hmm. And her siblings have fallen in love with the outside world. Her brothers love cars. Her sisters love, kid stuff. Mm-hmm. But Jessie's, still just really scared.
Dude. Transformers?
Bro. Those little boys are going apeshit.
Imagine going from 1860 to Transformers.
Yeah. 1840s, you have to do chores all the time, to 1996, where you actually get to be a child and you're not just used for labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And diphtheria experiments.
Yeah, that too. So the way that they kind of end this book is her mom gives her some comfort words, but she realizes she's still scared, but she finally feels that she has landed safely. What do you think?
That's a cute book.
Yeah, kind of scary, right?
How do you think these kids took Y2K?
Probably not too good.
They probably believed everything.
They're like, yeah, we're totally gonna die. That sucks. We just got here.
Yeah.
Do you want to write a review for this one on the story graph?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this book would be for someone who's in the mood for adventurous, challenging, again, made for 13-year-olds, dark, emotional, funny, hopeful, informative, inspiring, lighthearted, mysterious, reflective, relaxing, sad, and tense.
Yes.
All of them?
Hell yeah, baby.
I chose reflective and sad.
I wouldn't say sad.
I thought it was sad.
I would say stressful.
What about challenging?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you rate the pace of the book? Well, considering I'm an adult reading at a 5th grade reading level for this, I would say personally really fast.
Yeah.
But if I were, I'm going to say fast because I'm an adult. Plot or character driven?
Learn how to read, losers. Hold this L.
I wouldn't say there's any character development. Because, I mean, she's just a kid.
And it was like over the course of what?
Like
2 days?
Yeah. Did you find them lovable? Yes, because I wanted to hug her the whole time and give her cookies and make her feel better. Would you say the cast is diverse? No. Are there flaws?
What is that over there?
There's no flaws that are focused on. Rating, what would you give it? 0 to 5.
4.5.
I would too. That was a good book.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to add? I don't think so.
Let's add a Bruno meow to the end of this episode, I think.
Okay, let me save this then.
Okay.
And you give it a good meow.
I gotta warm it up first,
Okay,
so let's close out the
up.
episode.
So, thank you folks so much for listening to our first episode of Books Justin Didn't Read in School. My name's Blue, I love to read.
And my name's Bruno, and I go...
Come on, Bruno.
Come on, do it.
He knows you want him to.
Yeah, I know. Come on. One more.
He mad, Dad.
Yeah, he is. And I'm Justin, and I hate reading.